All right, we're back, folks. I don't remember exactly where we left off with this Chevy because it was a while ago, a week or two anyways. I don't think I thought at that moment I was going to get the job on it, but oddly enough I did. If you guys remember, we diagnosed this one, junk aftermarket air diverter valve. Okay, so I took and, we got the OEM. There's the part number on the OEM. We got the OEM. They had it right in stock. So that worked out good. We're firing up the scan tool here. The OEM did fit. The air pump hose does click on. You know, everything's good there. Hopefully it works. I don't know, we're just gonna keep clicking buttons here until we get in there. We can turn this on and off. Now remember, these older GMs have the timeout. Timeout. Let's see. We're gonna go in here and let's see what we have for codes. I haven't cleared anything or done anything other than drive it in this morning. Late morning anyways. Let's see what we have here. Okay. Okay, all right, so we have just those two codes. One thing I do want to see, where are we at with a drive cycle? Because I do believe last time it came in, the drive cycle was not completed. It's been a little while since the car's been here, so I'm curious if the fella's been driving it, and if so, has it completed the drive cycle? Because what we can do is we can see if it works. We'll take it for a little rip, see if we can get the drive cycle to complete, we can take it wherever to get the sticker on it. So yeah, so 3 monitors not complete. So that's that. So apparently it hasn't been being driven, or it hasn't been able to complete the monitors because the secondary error. So yeah, what are we looking at? Catalyst evap 02. All right, not a big deal. Secondary error has run, and of course it generated the code from there. So let's pop back out. Let's go back in here. Let's click the right buttons here. And then we're gonna go into the ECM. Oops, shoot, hit the wrong button. We're gonna pause that. We're gonna go ECM, enter system. We're gonna go active test, and then secondary error. And right now we want to turn on just the pump because we want to see, you know, the pressure buildup. Make sure our pressure sensor works. Right now, we're at 13.92, 2.5 volts. Barometric pressure and air pressure in here are exactly the same. I think if I recall, the old one, that was not the case. I want to say it was within a half a pound or less, if I remember correctly, which is usually suitable. So let's see what we have. Okay, so we go from 13.9 up to 15.8. That's great. So it builds pressure. Now our next test, let's see if we hear our solenoid clicking up here. We do. We hear a relay in this vicinity, but we also can hear and feel this with its badunkadunk. Okay, so that's good. Now we're going to do the whole system. It's going to turn on the pump, open the valve, and I expect to see some pressure increase, but not that 15 psi. Okay, 14.36, half a psi indicated. 14.36, of course, this is without the vehicle running. And then we go back in, 14.36. And then 15.08. All right, well, we know our valve works. I say we take it for a rip. Let's go through here. Let's clear the codes. We could go through the whole, code criteria. The pressure does change with the vehicle running. We'll go from 11.9 volts that we're sitting at up to 14.5. So we're going to have a pressure increase there. Plus we have the additional pressure, from the exhaust is also something to keep in mind as well. Let's erase the codes. I'm just going to look in some live data and see, because I did start this up to bring it in. I tried not to let it run for very long. We want to look at intake air temp and coolant temp to see where we're at as far as being able to, you know, potentially start the drive cycle. GMs are pretty fussy on that stuff there. I like looking at generic OBD2 data personally when it comes to running drive cycle. Some GMs have criteria that you can see if the criteria is met to enabling conditions of a drive cycle. It's kind of curious. So let's go into live data here. Just kind of see where things are setting. Oh, that's actually the clamp off from that there. Somebody tried to cut the clamp because they didn't know how to disconnect it. Interesting. All right, what do we have? We got engine coolant temp, intake air temp. All right, well, it looks like we're gonna have to cool off that intake air temp. It's interesting that it's 90 degrees maybe. Oh, maybe because we've been key on, engine off, and the mass airflow is on. So I'm gonna shut the key off, let it sit for a little while. Let's see if we can't just does that change it at all? What did we get down to? 89.6. We got to let that cool down, like I say, otherwise it's not going to run. The monitor warmed it up a little. Let me get a blow nozzle here. Alright, that's close enough. Let me shut the key off. Alright, I'm going to let this sit a little bit. We're going to make sure that this mass airflow stays cool. And then we're going to, while I'm waiting, I'm going to look the car over the rest of the way for this fella, see if it has a chance of passing inspection. Somebody's already inspected it because the sticker's gone. They scraped his sticker, which is law in New York State. If it comes in for an inspection, if it's overdue, technically you're supposed to scrape the sticker for the guy. That's how the law reads. All right, well, good. They put his air filter in. The air filter is in upside down or backwards, or it's the wrong one. That's awesome. All kinds of people doing this guy a favor. I'll show you that here. Not that it pertains to any of this, it just kind of stinks when somebody can't just do your job right. Let's grab a little flathead there. Out of the way, and I believe it is entirely the wrong filter. Or does it fit that way? Okay, it does fit that direction, so that's good. They had it in the box like this, so you know clearly it doesn't fit. It's hanging out the bottom of the box, wasn't even in. So let's try to put this in the correct way. Might be a little bit of a pisser because it's got a big curl in it now from where it was jammed in there. We'll see if we can't get that sitting straight for him. There we go. And then this is the inlet for the air pump that he didn't need. Seems to be the theme. All right. And hopefully this is all the issues that this guy has. Stick this back in here. Like I say, we'll let her cool down. See what we can get for the drive cycle. Alright, well, it's not going to get inspected here. I'll leave it at that. It's really, really bad. We were able to lift it, but that's about it. So let's try to get that drive cycle run. I took her for a 2. Yeah, I got the catalyst done, but for whatever reason, none of the other enabling criteria, even though we did have a cold start, just like we thought we did. You know, the O2 monitor is the only one that was enabled. We did, oh shoot, what do I want to see here? I'm in the wrong section here. We did get the everything to run except what we wanted to get run. So I'm going to go back and let it sit. I've got some other work I need to do. We still need secondary air, evap, O2 and O2 heaters. Basically all we got was the EGR and the catalyst, and no pending code. So I'm gonna go let it sit. We'll let her cool back down and see where we're at. All right, folks, it's the next day. In order for this air pump monitor to run, it does require a cold start, which is after a 6-hour sit. So not just intake air temp and engine coolant temp and stuff like that. Engine has to be off for at least 6 hours. So let's see if we hear the pump run. Chevys, come on, there we go. Let's see if I hear it. That's funny, yeah. I don't hear the air pump running, but the weird part is yesterday, when I brought it in broken, the air pump was running. But yeah, I'm not hearing it out there right now. I'm gonna plug into it with our Elite Diag, or whatever you call it, E-Diag Elite. Go for a rip. Kind of sucks, man. I want this air pump monitor to run before I give it back to the dude. So, well, I'll be right back. Well, I don't want to screen share because that takes extra time, but misfire's ready, fuel system, comprehensive, catalyst. So the only one not ready is evap. The secondary air ran, which is weird. It didn't run yesterday, and I didn't just hear it this morning, unless that thing's so quiet I can't hear it with the valve open, but it ran secondary air and O2, so just O2 and evap. So if I take it for a ride, get the O2 done, he can go get a sticker on it. But just kind of bizarre. Let me back out of here. I know this isn't ideal. Let's see, let's make sure we didn't set any pending codes. Yeah, just our permanent code there, the 2440. So I'm gonna say this is a fix, but I will get that other monitor to run for them. So we'll leave it at that, folks. No sense in going any further with it. I will go get that O2 monitor to set for him so he can go and, you know, get a sticker on it somewhere. But we proved what we needed to prove. Junk aftermarket. I looked down here because it's sitting down there on the floor in a box, so you can send it back to, you know, eBay or wherever, you know, wherever it came from. Doesn't matter. It's dormant. It's garbage as usual, and not just usual like, you know, dormant, but usual aftermarket junk. I don't care if it's Standard Motor Products, Eklund, you know, same thing. You know, you name it. Fill in the blank with any aftermarket name. It's junk. All this stuff is garbage, and it's getting frustrating anymore. You know, working in a shop where we used to have what I would call, you know, non-negotiables, we'll say, where, yeah, we only use OEM on, you know, AC compressors. That's it, you know, like a, you know, OEM or nothing. I mean, it's anymore now. You go look at my parts shelf, you know, shoot, I've got OEM, you know, control arms and tie rods and brakes and just stuff we normally wouldn't have bought OEM because there was good quality aftermarket. But now it's a race to the bottom with these companies, and it just sucks because everything looks like it should fit, looks like it should work, but you know, I know it's junk, and that's just a matter of fact. You can say whatever you want about it. There are still some good things aftermarket, but it's getting far and few between. You know, some of the OEM is bad enough as it is. So what are you gonna do? I know what I want you to do right now. And that's go in that comment section. Look for us on Insta, the Facebook. And that's it. Tell me your experience with aftermarket junk. We all got the stories, baby. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.